Sukhmani Sai part, and you are going around and helping ladies.
So I don't know what extended family felt like. I was constantly in fear, and I had very low self-esteem, and I always sought out being comfortable. I have. Did it help me? In a way it did, but it didn't get me to this state. It helped. EMDR definitely helped. But
so how do you feel about being in Texas and, you know, like you said, you've gone from Judaism to Sikhism? And hearing you today, it's still there. Like the connection is so strong, and it's stronger because you've mentioned how actually I'm now incorporating everything that I've learned in my life and addressing these issues right now here today with the words that, as you said, from your father, which, you know, around being in the uncomfortable.
well, I think that part of growth is introspection. We tend as human beings to sometimes dismiss previous behavior, or transgressions against others, to try to just wipe the slate clean. And we need to understand ourselves and why we perhaps act a certain way or respond to certain behaviors a certain way. I had never bowed down. I had never, ever, even to an employer, I had never totally put myself in a place where I was vulnerable to anybody or anything else, because I really didn't trust anybody. And I sometimes had knee-jerk reactions, and my mouth would talk before my brain had a chance to think about what was going to come out. And I needed to understand why that happened. And I always tried to control everything. You know, it was like you're in your boat on the river, and you have your oars, and you're trying to control where it's going. And that is so tiring. And instead, it's just so much easier if you pull the oars in the boat and trust the river, because the river to me is the energy of the universe, and it's taking you where you're meant to go. If you just trust it, you know. But some people, they get caught looking at the back, you know, at their past, and you can't move forward if you're constantly looking backwards. You're gonna fall. So I used to do that too. I went through phases of this, but you know, in early on in my transformation, somebody else said, you know, had I ever had EMDR? And I said no, and they said they give this treatment to veterans who were suffering from PTSD, and it works. And I went to 2 sessions, and it worked. And I will always have PTSD, but I am not so guarded anymore. And that means that when I meet someone new, I start out trusting somebody until they give me a reason not to. And before, I started out the other way. And that's no way to live, to always look at people like they're your enemy. I mean, if you start out like that, then how can you have successful relationships with other people?
Yeah, it's so true. No,
Mm.
it's amazing. So
Mm.
the spiritual connection that you have now received and that you have, it's very, very much, you're still really incorporating everything about your life. But if we just talk about the nidnim and the power behind that, and how you're explaining the spiritual connection that is serving you to connect with the higher being and the supreme being, right? And then maintaining that discipline. It sounds like even though you're still seeing obstacles, but you're learning. Like you said, I'm going to be learning for the rest of my life. I'm a Sikh. And if you think about, I'm thinking about guidance and how you protect yourself. It sounds like you're still very aware. I'm still processing life, but you have new scriptures of Sikhi that are bringing you something.
Well, yes. I mean, and we, for instance, when COVID hit, immediately people gravitated to the Gurdwara. They gravitated to spirituality if they didn't have it before, because in times of uncertainty, that's natural. And for me, I had never been like that. And I've had so many people say to me that they have always wanted to have that kind of spiritual relationship. And the thing is that in my whole life, I had been the person that always said that about other people. I always wanted to have that kind of relationship. And the day that I realized that, wow, I have developed this spiritual relationship. I didn't even realize it was like that. And it happened gradually. Some people will tell me, oh, the Nitnam doesn't do it for me. And my answer to that is, what do you like? And if they say, I feel closer to myself, I feel closer to God, regardless of what religion they practice, what spiritual path they are, I feel like that is when I'm talking to Vaheguru, then I say to them, then do that. And then let's see what we learn through reading Nitnam, because it is everything from the Guru Granth boiled down into its essence. If you don't have time for 1,400 pages, then it's boiled down for you, and it is a guidebook, and it is relevant today, and it does make sense. And if you're not sure, then ask other people and ask them, hey, how do you incorporate this in your life? Talk to other people. And because I see people in other faiths, Christians, other people having talk groups and study groups together. And just because, Sikhs haven't done that a lot in the past doesn't mean that they can't now. We can share from one another. That's how we are stronger as a family, as a Sangha. If we share with one another, if we help each other, if we care for one another. And that's, I think, why I am so empathetic with the needs of individual Sangha members and then them as a whole, is that, I'm paying attention and looking at, oh, that person, has this need, and that person has that need, and this just happened in that family, and matching people up to have those kinds of discussions so that they can help one another. And I'm also looking at those disenfranchised people who don't go to Gurdwara anymore and letting them know, we haven't forgotten about you. We still care about you. You are still part of the Sangha. And, I tell this wonderful story about, we have a Christian who watches all of our programming online. And people are always asking me, because she is a Western woman with this skin coloring, if I know her, because they see her name all the time watching. And I didn't. And I spoke to her one day and I online, and I asked her, do you ever come to Gurdwara? Are you a Sikh? And she said, no, I'm a Christian. And she's has some health issues and is bedridden, and she loves Jesus. She's a Christian. And I asked her if there was anything that she needed. She has a book about Guru Nanak. She loves the music. It gives her peace. And she said, oh, no, I'm not a Sikh. I'm not, one of you. I didn't need to bother, she told me. And to me, she's a member of our Sangha. It doesn't matter to me that she puts a different label on her beliefs at all. To me, she matters to us because many people ask me about her all the time, and that makes her one of us. And so I always tell people about her, and I think that's what Guru Nanak would have done. I really, really do.
Definitely.
So yeah, I'm just trying to look at things. Maybe, I guess I would call myself a modern traditionalist, trying to do some different things and see if we can look at our mental health a little better, because bad things happen to us. Tragic things happen to us. There were the mental health of people who could not go home, not join their families during COVID, when they were so used to that could not come to Gurdwara because of the lockdown. That affected people. And that was something that in a lot of communities just wasn't addressed. And that's a reason why, even when I asked management, hey, can we broadcast morning and evening prayer services? And they said, oh, it's not needed. And then I said, if I, provide the equipment and pay for everything, can I do it anyway? And they said, okay. And I did it, and it was needed and appreciated. So, sometimes you just have to think outside the box and be compassionate and do something that isn't normally done. Just because it's not been done doesn't mean it shouldn't be done, but yeah.
Thank you. That really shows a lot of humanity and compassion. And I'm sure everybody shows you gratitude, because like you say, people are asking about this lady, and they are probably thankful to her that she's showing interest, because she is part of the community.
But I and what's interesting is that in this almost decade, I've done more seva and more volunteering, more everything. And I never did that before. I never, and I love it so much. It's surprising to me. And and I don't do it for accolades. I do interfaith work, and I love that too. And now all of that study since I was 12 comes into play.
Wow.
Because that's very helpful when it comes to dealing with different cultures and cultural customs. And so in my mind, I thought, oh, that's why because my parents kept asking me, why are you reading all these books about religion? And I was like, I don't know. But I found it fascinating. And so, and I would find, back then we had vinyl albums. I would find vinyl albums of religious music from these different religions and learn things, and which I am still doing today. And my parents would ask me, why are you doing that? I don't know. It's important somehow. And now I see why it was important. That was part of my path. That was when, as a child, I had pulled the oars in the boat and I was letting the boat go. But as an adult, I was not, because as an adult we can control our lives, and sometimes we control too much and in an unhealthy way, and that hurts us, and it oftentimes hurts others around us. I am happy to report that my stepfather, who was an alcoholic, no longer drinks. Wow. He no longer drinks, and in his own religion, he is now a pastor.
Wow!
So you've all changed lives.
Yeah. So there is redemption for many, and my mother has also become religious, and in her own right, and I have a sister whom I've not lived with, and she, I thought, probably wouldn't accept my new lifestyle, and she does, and which is amazing to me. It blows me away that if you put your guard down and don't have expectations, then it makes life so much easier. But it is hard, and in our community, it's practically taboo to talk about mental health, or to talk about taking medication, even for a medical thing, like pain medication, and that's probably something, not probably, that's definitely something we need to tackle, because mental health, this is a medical issue. It is an environmental issue. And the sooner we address issues, then the better the entire family unit is, and the more successful we can be. And we just we have to not make things taboo. I mean, it's hard enough that there are some things that are truly taboo, but mental health should not be, getting help should not be one of those things, and exploring new ways to get help shouldn't be one. So if people ask me, hey, have you ever been to therapy? I say yes, I have. Did it help me? In a way it did, but it didn't get me to this state. It helped. EMDR definitely helped, and that opened me up. But the meat of helping me define who I am and how I live my life is the guru, is this community, is my trusting and adaptation of this community into my life. I always, thought the hard thing would be getting the community to accept me, but it was really the other way around.
Wow.
But I completely, this is my community. I dress like this almost every single day. I don't have hardly any Western clothing in my closet anymore. That's the way it is. I mean, Amrit Dadi is Amrit Dadi. So it's all or nothing for me.
Absolutely beautiful, stunning. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੁਝ ਪੁੱਛਣਾ?
ਹਾਂਜੀ, then I will. So, Shabad Priya Kaur ji, I mean, I can see your journey. Like it's coming in front the way when you are talking about it. I can actually go through it with you. I had that feeling, and I was walking with you on your path when you were talking about this. So, I mean, I will say, well done. I mean, spiritually, how you have, follow this path, and how you are helping the ladies, and how you are, I mean, even I'm just thinking that, what about the language barriers? Because you said you can't speak Punjabi, but you are doing Nitnem, you are doing part, you are doing Akhand part, you are doing Sukhmani Sahib part, and you are going around and helping ladies who can't. So it's just so surprising for me. How are you doing all this?
That is a very, very good question. And when I came to Sikhi and I passed the kitchen, I could hear my name being spoken. And at the time, I thought to myself, I am not going to learn Punjabi because I don't want to hear them gossiping about me. I'm just, like I said, I took a vow of truth when I became a Sikh. So I'm just telling you. But then when COVID came, and having a teacher was not that easy. And I focused on the Nitnem, and thankfully I am a self-starter, and I was able to teach myself to pronounce correctly. For some reason, if I hear something incorrectly, my ear tells me that nope, that's wrong. And so if I hear a recording that's incorrect, I know don't do it like that. And so I listened to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of recordings. And that's how I taught myself the recordings, through recordings and YouTube. But because I had a stroke, my memory, I don't trust my memory. So I always have my good ka. But the language barrier is something. Am I addressing it now with lessons? Yes, I am. Do I understand some words? Yes, I do. I've noticed that there are times when I will understand whole paragraphs and I'm wondering, why do I understand what's happening here? And all I can guess is, well, I must be meant to understand that paragraph must be very, very important to me. Something like when the hukanama, when the Baisab announces the hukanama, right? I recognize the hukanamas, and I hear the first couple of words, and if I do not recognize it, I am memorizing it as he's announcing it, so that in the future I'm going, oh, I know that one, I know what page that's on, thank you very much. And I keep the guru in my own home. And so I know, I can look things up later, and that's helpful for me. But when you are caring for someone else, when you are sitting with someone who is at the end of life and they are medicated and there's no possibility that they will be able to utter Nitnam in the last minutes, and their family is young and not religious, and they also cannot care. Caring for someone is universal. When I am holding someone's hand, that care is universal. It transcends language. When I don't know if you've been on my Facebook and seen me do rehas, but particularly in person, it is obvious that I believe every word I'm uttering. You can tell, and I do. And when I am holding someone's hand, when I am wiping sweat from their brow, they know I love them. They know I care. And when I utter those words for them because they cannot, it means something to them. It is as if they are. And it doesn't matter. Whatever else that I could say doesn't matter at all, because the other thing that I might be doing is helping that young family. They don't know their Nitnam, right? They don't know how to work the medical system. They don't know how to organize their paperwork. They don't know how to do this, that, and the other. Many of them are first generation diaspora. All they speak is English sometimes. And so, or they're they're pretty much, they're struggling. And so having someone there to talk to medical staff, having someone there to talk to people providing them with services is actually a benefit. I've had many families, call me up after, because they need to call the police and ask me, can I come to their home so they can call the police? And I do. It's no bother at all. I'll do anything to ease the way, because it's not easy, because every country works differently. Every system works differently. So I know how this works here, and so why wouldn't I help where I can? Because they have the Sangha, many people in the Sangha, there's many thousands of them where I am, and they have a language barrier also. So they're compassionate about my language barrier, and I'm compassionate about theirs. Even after service, many women, come up and hug me, and they're learning a few words, to say something nice to me. And I often hear the much older women tell their young grandkids, things to the effect, in Punjabi, I've heard, if she can do it, you can, about the Nitnam. If she can utter it, you can. I mean, because I only have one vocal cord that's working. The other one's paralyzed. So if I can do it, there's no excuse to that teenager who just can't be bothered, you know? So it's, yeah. And you know, and I also work with a lot of Westerners. All the Westerners that come to the Gurdwara, they're funneled to me. And if I discover through our interactions, if we, you know, I have a book, I have resources that I give them so that they can self-study. I'm always available so they can ask questions. And if they, you know, come to the conclusion they're not sick, that it's not for them, I help them narrow it down so that they don't spend their whole adult life trying to find where the river is them. Because, you know, everybody deserves to find where they're going to be blissful. And just like every person, you know, deserves to have those last few moments on the earth being respected and leaving exactly the way they want. So I'm just determined to make sure that happens.
Thank you so much, Shabad Priya Kaur ji. Thank you so much. Your journey is so inspiring, and I mean, we learned so many things today from you, and I hope that all our other, you know, whoever is watching your story today is going to learn so many things. I mean, positivity is there. I mean, how you struggled and then you are what you are today is because of all that you have gone through. And is there, I mean, are you available for people who actually, I was reading that you are available for the Akhand parts and Sukhmani Sahib parts if people want to invite you for their celebrations?
I am currently available for the everyday Nitnam part because that's a shorter duration. And I also am, there are people that have health issues that keep them from Gurdwara, and they would like, sometimes, you know, they find themselves in a new home and they would like to have the Guru in their home, so I can do that. And you know, I can do some things. I really try not to take away the services that Gurdwaras provide, because I don't want to create a situation where Ragis feel disrespected. It's taken quite a time to have Ragis accept me as a priest, and it wasn't easy. And so and in fact, when I said I'm not gonna take money for anything, they were upset with me, because then everybody will expect that of us, you know. And but you know, I'm learning what's normal and what's not. And but you know, I really am trying to do more care of the Sanghat and those unexpected things. You know, there are people living unconventional lifestyles. We actually have LGBTQ people, and that are very, very religious, and they can't be themselves in Gurdwara, and they keep the Guru in their home, and they would really they adopt children, and those children do not come to Gurdwara to go to Gurmat school. And I stop by their home and drop off books and interact with the children, because I've got to let them know that we care, that societal norms don't dictate my love and acceptance for them at all. And that we have to keep an eye on, we don't want to lose a generation because of some societal norm. So perhaps it's easier for me because, you know, there's been a couple of times somebody said, I've heard somebody say, oh, she's a Western lady, she doesn't know, let it go, you know. And I can completely use that to my advantage and push the envelope and say, ooh, you know, but I think we can't lose those kids. We can't lose that family, regardless of whatever cultural norms there. It's not my job to judge people. My job is to serve people. And that's what I have to remember, and to assure people that their privacy is maintained. I am PPI compliant. I have insurance to prove that. And everything is really, really confidential. And I think that allows people to truly be themselves with me. And that means it's an equal exchange between us, because I am truly myself with them. So if they ask for a service that I have not learned yet, then I just, because I'm busy, then I say, then I feel free. Pride doesn't keep me from saying, I'm so sorry, I haven't learned that yet, or I'm in the middle of Asadavar. I'm in the middle of learning, so obviously I can't utter that right now. But I'm working on it, just in case. I'm trying to make sure no matter what kind of Sikh you are, I know your service type. So, but yes, and I can guide, Sikhs from around the world, even though, as long as people understand what time zone I'm in.
Thank you so much, Shabad Priya ji. Amar, yeah. So, ਬਹੁਤ ਅਸੀਂ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਪ੍ਰਿਆ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਇਹ ਮਾਣ ਬਖਸ਼ਿਆ, ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਆ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਜਰਨੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸੀਗੀ ਸਾਰੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਂਝੀ ਕੀਤੀ। ਤੇ ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਨਬਜ਼ਾਂ ਫੜ ਕੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਰੋਗ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਣੇ, ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਨਬਜ਼ਾਂ ਫੜ ਕੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਰੋਗ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਣੇ। ਕਾਸ਼ ਕਿਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਪੀੜ ਦਿਲੇ ਦੀ ਅੰਦਰ ਵੜ ਕੇ ਟੋਹੇ, ਕਾਸ਼ ਕਿਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਪੀੜ ਦਿਲੇ ਦੀ ਅੰਦਰ ਵੜ ਕੇ ਟੋਹੇ। ਸੋ ਬਹੁਤ ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਨੂੰ ਸੁਣਨ ਲਈ। ਤੇ ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਸੋ ਮਚ।